He thought I was just a submissive wife with no job, no family backing, someone who couldn't survive without him until I laid out, piece by piece, the evidence of his cheating, scheming, and assault, cornered him and his mistress in a hotel room, and tore off the mask of the perfect husband in front of them. 2 years of a sexless marriage. Years of psychological manipulation. Being treated like a tool to be exploited. And even when I asked for a divorce, he tried to drag me back into his cage with violence. But he forgot every day I endured was spent gathering evidence, planning, and waiting. I didn't cry or beg. I sent him to court with my own hands, froze his assets, and destroyed the life he was most proud of. Chin-Hao and I hadn't had marital relations for 2 years. He said it was for my own good. You're weak. We need to take care of you. He always wore that look of concern. Last night, he brought up adoption again. A child would make the family complete. You wouldn't have to work so hard either. He stroked my head, eyes soft. I understood the meaning behind his words. He was implying I couldn't have children. I felt a lump in my chest but stayed silent. This morning, I reached into his suit pocket for a lighter and found a velvet box, a Cartier ring. My heart skipped. I opened it. The diamond was huge, not the style I liked. On impulse, I slipped it onto my ring finger. It was loose, a whole size too big. My fingers are slim. This ring was obviously meant for someone with fuller hands. The first wave of unease felt like needles pricking my nails. I steadied my breath and put the ring back. In the afternoon, I browsed the web on his tablet. He'd forgotten to log out. A social app notification popped up. A special update from his account. I tapped it by accident. A woman named Lillian. Her latest post, a grid of food photos, captioned, "A day being spoiled like a kid." I zoomed in. A man's hand appeared on the table, wristwatch visible. It was the Patek Philippe I had gifted Chin-Hao for his birthday this year. My heart sank. I kept scrolling. Last month, Lillian posted a sunset campus photo. Back to where the dream began. In the corner of the picture, the old abandoned lab building at City Polytechnic, our secret base. Back in college, when money was tight, Chin-Hao and I would meet there. He said it was a world just for the two of us. Now he was taking someone else there. My stomach twisted. I opened Chin-Hao's shopping history on the app. The last 6 months were packed with entries: Chanel bags, Bulgari necklaces, limited edition SK2 sets, lingerie, all sent to baby Lily, all paid for by Chin-Hao. I returned to the chat list. He hadn't set a password. Found the conversation with Lillian and scrolled up. "Lillian, your wife bothering you today?" "Chin-Hao, she's very well behaved." "Boring." "Really? Not like you, so clingy." "Lillian, then why haven't you left her? Waiting for her to take care of you in old age?" "Chin-Hao, why rush? Leaving her now would cost me. Better wait for her to bring it up herself. All the property and savings are under my name. She can't touch a thing." "Chin-Hao, honestly." Her cold, distant face turns me off. "You're better, more flavorful." "Lillian, when will you marry me?" "Chin-Hao, soon, baby." Just squeezing out the last bit of value from her. Her family connections could still be useful. I read every word. My fingers were icy, but they didn't shake. No tears fell. I grabbed my phone, turned on video recording, and filmed the tablet screen, shopping history, chat logs, every photo Lillian posted, even that hand wearing the Patek Philippe, steady and clear. Just as I finished, Chin-Hao called. "Honey, I have a work event tonight. I'll be home late." His voice soft as ever. "Oh, and that necklace you wanted? I'll get it for you when I get my bonus, a surprise." I listened to his natural lies. "Okay," I said. A single word. I hung up and sat on the couch. The room was quiet. Those glaring words played like a movie in my mind. But strangely, I didn't feel pain, just cold. Then it hit me. This wasn't about fading feelings. It was a meticulously orchestrated 2-year-long scam. I was just a tool to keep up appearances and extract value. "Fine, Chin-Hao, you've managed well. But now, the rules have changed. I won't cry. I'll start setting my trap." At midnight, I was woken by thunder. I've always been afraid of storms. Chin-Hao used to hold me close during thunderstorms. Tonight, the bed was empty. I heard a low voice on the balcony. "Chin-Hao, baby, don't be afraid. It's just thunder. I'll be there soon, yeah." "Work's done." "Work? I checked my phone, 2:30 a.m. I closed my eyes, pretending to sleep. He tiptoed in, changed clothes, grabbed car keys. Before leaving, he sent a WeChat, "Honey, an emergency at work. Go ahead and keep the lights on if you're scared. Love you." A caring text, synchronizing with his actions toward another woman. I listened as he got on the elevator. 5 minutes later, I got up and went to the window. Heavy rain. His Mercedes lights flashed as he drove out, turning right without hesitation. That direction wasn't toward the office. I have an old phone with an anonymous SIM. I opened a GPS app. Long ago. Worried he'd get in a car accident, I secretly put a mini tracker under his car. He never knew. On the screen, a red dot moved fast, finally stopping at a luxury complex called Legion Apartments. Block B. Underground garage. I checked the place. 1 unit per elevator, extremely private. High rent. Soon after the red dot stopped, the app showed an elevator moving, B1 straight to the 20th floor. Then the signal froze. I zoomed in on the 20th floor layout. A 2,000 square foot apartment. Rain pounded the window like a drum on my heart, but my heartbeat stayed steady. I screenshot the driving route and elevator records, then saved the screenshot of his "I love you" text. That night, I didn't sleep, but not from fear of thunder. By morning, Chinhao returned, damp with rain and faint perfume. "Honey, I brought breakfast, your favorite Xinjian buns." He smiled, tired yet tender, acting perfectly. I looked at the bag. "I've eaten." I took it to the door and handed it to the cleaning lady in the hallway. "Ma'am, untouched. Eat it while it's warm." Chinhao froze. I looked at him and said clearly, "I don't want it in the house, it disgusts me." His face changed instantly. "What do you mean?" Exactly what I said. I didn't look at him again. Poured a glass of water. My hands were steady. I didn't question or cry, but I knew that sentence pierced him like a needle. He started to doubt. I bought a mini camera disguised as a power bank and placed it inconspicuously on the bookshelf, facing the sofa. Chinhao got busier and came home later and later. The camera recorded everything. Tonight, he was on the phone again in the living room, his voice dripping with a kind of indulgent affection and ease I had never heard before. "Lily, stop it, okay? This weekend I'll take you to an island, just the two of us." "The apartment? I've already picked one out. That riverfront penthouse. Once she moves out, we'll buy it and put it in your name." In his so-called future plans, every single word excluded me. From the other end of the call, Lillian's voice came through the speaker, soft and coquettish. "What about that old wife of yours? She won't cling on and refuse to leave, will she?" Chinhao snorted. "Her? No family backing, no job, no money. She can't survive without me. When the time comes, I'll just toss her a little cash and be done with it." Lillian laughed. "You really are something. But is she really that useless? No charm at all?" Chinhao said casually. "She's like a block of wood. How could she compare to you?" "I love you, baby. I love you." Those 3 words traveled through the camera feed and pierced my ears with brutal clarity. I bit down on my lips so hard it broke the skin, the metallic taste of blood spreading in my mouth. But I didn't make a sound. I watched him kiss the phone, watched the expression on his face, the glow of a man in love, something I hadn't seen in years. That glow had nothing to do with me. In this house, I was invisible, a transparent presence, a ghost whose identity had already been erased in advance. That sense of erasure, more suffocating than betrayal itself. I turned off the surveillance feed. Somewhere inside my mind, something clicked, clean and final, like a switch being cut. I needed support, so I went back to my mother's house. I had barely sat down when she started complaining. "Why do you come back empty-handed again? Your brother's girlfriend wants a gold bracelet. They're short on money. As his sister, you should help out." My throat went dry. "Mom, Chinhao might be seeing someone else." She paused for a moment, then frowned. "Isn't that because you're useless and can't keep a man? 2 years and your belly hasn't moved. Any man would go looking elsewhere." The knife of my birth family struck fast and true. "My body is fine. It's him," I tried to explain. "Enough." She cut me off impatiently, waving her hand. "Don't tell me that nonsense. Go back and placate him. Hurry up and give birth to a son, that's what matters. Without a child, what value do you have? If he dumps you, you deserve it." My last shred of hope shattered. I stood up. I don't have money, and I won't have any in the future either. My voice was flat. My mother flew into a rage, grabbed a broom, and started hitting me. Get out! Useless thing! I raised you for nothing. Get out of my house! I was driven out. The door slammed shut behind me. Standing in that familiar alley, the wind cut like knives. But strangely, I didn't feel cold. I didn't feel pain anymore. For the first time, with absolute clarity, I understood I was completely alone. No husband, no family, only myself. Fine. From now on, I fight for myself alone. I stayed in a budget hotel for 3 days. My phone was turned off. On the 4th morning, I turned it back on. Dozens of missed calls and WeChat messages flooded in from Chinhao. The tone shifted from angry accusations to frantic searching, and finally to pleading and promises. Wife, where are you? I was wrong. It's all my fault. Let's talk. Please come back. I can't live without you. I know you've been hurt. I'll change. I swear. Peak level acting. Raw, emotional performance. If I hadn't seen those chat logs, I might have believed him. That afternoon, he showed up heroically in the hotel lobby. His eyes were red. Stubble covered his face, like a man who hadn't slept in days. He rushed over and pulled me into a tight embrace, his body trembling slightly. I finally found you. Don't scare me like this again. Physical reassurance, slick. Practiced. Nauseating. I let him hold me. I didn't push him away. I didn't respond. He took me home, attentive to the extreme, repeating hollow promises. That evening, he said he'd booked my favorite revolving restaurant to make it up to me. I changed into a dress and went with him. As soon as we sat down, his phone rang. He glanced at it, his expression shifting slightly, then stood up. Emergency call from work. I'll step away for a moment. I caught a glimpse of the lit screen. Caller ID, Lily. He walked farther away, lowering his voice. Baby, don't be mad. Something came up suddenly, really. It's a project partner. I'll definitely spend time with you tomorrow. I sat alone in the luxurious restaurant, listening to his clumsy lies, looking out at the glittering city nightscape. The last trace of softness that belonged to the word wife hardened, then snapped. I picked up my phone, not to answer him, but to log into my alternate social media account. Lillian had posted an update 10 minutes earlier, a photo of 2 people holding hands. Caption, some people are destined to be just passers-by. A hand held tight won't let go. That man's hand, the watch. The cufflinks, I recognized all of it. The provocation couldn't have been clearer. Perfect. I was just wondering how to get an opening. Chinhao came back, face full of apology. I'm sorry, honey. The project ran into trouble. I have to go back to the office right now. This dinner, it's fine. Go ahead. I even smiled at him. Work comes first. He looked relieved and hurried off. I finished the expensive steak alone. Then I opened my contacts and selected his parents, my mother, my brother, several of our mutual friends, and 2 loudmouthed colleagues from his company. I sent a group message. How's been under a lot of pressure lately and acting a bit strangely. I'm really worried about him. Tomorrow night at 8. I want to throw him a small surprise party in room 1608 at the Hilton Hotel. He says he often meets clients there. Could everyone come help him relax a bit? Please keep it a secret. Let's surprise him. After sending it, I turned off my phone. The setup was complete. Since you like sneaking around, since you like hiding, then I'll drag everything into the sunlight and leave you nowhere to run. The next evening, 7:50 p.m., outside room 1608 at the Hilton Hotel stood 7 or 8 people. Chinhao's parents, wearing puzzled expressions. My own mother and brother, eager for drama. 2 of his colleagues, eyes wide, and 2 of our mutual friends. Everyone was holding the little surprise party poppers I'd bought at the last minute. Xiao Yu, what exactly is this? His mother couldn't help asking. I raised a finger to my lips. Shoo, Mom, it's a surprise. How's inside? He said he's finishing up with his last client. I wore a perfect, expectant smile. In my hand, my phone, already quietly recording. 8 o'clock on the dot. I took a deep breath and pressed the doorbell hard. From inside came a soft, sugary female voice. Who is it? I pinched my throat and replied, room service. The lock clicked open. In the gap of the door stood Lillian, wrapped in a bath towel, hair still wet. Her impatient expression froze instantly when she saw the crowd outside, the color draining from her face. "Who are you looking for?" Her voice trembled as she tried to shut the door. I planted my foot against it, not hard, but enough to keep her from closing it. I took one step forward and faced her, my voice clear and steady, carrying down the entire hallway. "I'm looking for my husband, Chin-Hao. Is he inside?" As the legal wife, no further explanation was needed. The identity itself was crushing. Lillian's legs went weak, her towel nearly slipping off. She screamed, "How? How?" I pushed past her and walked straight in. The crowd behind me followed instinctively. The master bedroom door was open. Chin-Hao had just scrambled into his pants, his upper body still bare. When he saw the mass of people at the door, and me, his expression looked like he'd seen a ghost. Shock, fear, shame, and rage twisted together on his face. "Wife?" His voice cracked. His parents clutched their chests, nearly fainting. His coworkers held up their phones, stunned. My mother's mouth hung open. My brother whistled. Lillian rushed over, trying to grab me. "Get out! This is our place!" I sidestepped her and looked straight at Chin-Hao. My voice wasn't loud, but everyone could hear it. "Chin-Hao, let's get a divorce. I don't compete with trash for scraps. It's filthy, clean, final, no theatrics." Chin-Hao panicked, words tumbling over each other. "No, Xiaoyu, listen to me. It's not what you think. I love you. She seduced me." Lillian stared at him in disbelief and burst into tears. "Chin-Hao, you bastard. You said you stopped loving that old hag ages ago." The scene collapsed into chaos, ugly, humiliating. I put my phone away. I had recorded enough. Turning to the frozen guests, I gave a slight nod. "Sorry you had to see this. The surprise party is cancelled." Then I walked out without looking back. Behind me came Chin-Hao's frantic shouting and Lillian's sobbing curses. None of it mattered to me anymore. I wasn't there to win a man back. I was there to reclaim my dignity and to lock in his evidence. I returned to our so-called home and began packing my essentials. Less than half an hour later, Chin-Hao burst back in. His eyes were bloodshot, his hair a mess, nothing left of his usual polished, elite image. "Xiaoyu, we can't get divorced." He grabbed my arm hard. "I love you. I really love you. That was just for show. You're the only one in my heart." I shook him off and kept folding clothes. "Love?" I looked at him like he was a stranger. "What you love is that I run this household without complaint. You love the little bit of connections my family once had. You love that I never caused trouble, that stability. Chin-Hao, what you love is the perfect life you built where everything stays under your control. You never loved me as a person." He froze, clearly unprepared for his version of love to be dismantled so cleanly. "That's not true. We've been together for so many years, our memories, in those memories. You were buying rings for another woman, calling me an old hag, and planning how to kick me out with nothing." I cut in calmly. "Want me to remind you of the exact chat logs?" His face drained of color. He took a step back, realizing how much I knew. Then his expression darkened, ugly, feral, the look of a man whose control had slipped away. "Su Xiaoyu, you think you've won? Divorce? I don't agree. Without my consent. You can't divorce me. The house is in my name. The savings are in my accounts. You won't get a cent. Without me, you're nothing. You can go sleep on the streets." There it was. Power control, fully revealed. The last shred of hypocrisy torn off. I looked at him coldly. "Then we'll see each other in court." He exploded. He rushed forward, shoved me onto the bed, pinned me down, reeking of alcohol and another woman's perfume, his hands tearing at my clothes. "You want to leave? I'll show you leaving. You'll always be my wife." I struggled, but the strength difference was overwhelming. I didn't scream. I used everything I had to turn my head toward the nightstand, where an old phone, recording already on, was hidden behind some books. A faint red light blinked. I endured the sickening touch, my nails digging into my palms. I didn't say a single word the entire time. When he was finished, panting and collapsed beside me, I slowly sat up and fixed my torn clothes. There were no tears on my face, only icy detachment. I walked to the nightstand and, in front of him, took out the phone that was still recording and pressed stop. His rage froze instantly, replaced by raw terror. You recorded that? I held the phone like a blade. Evidence of rape, along with the earlier cheating evidence. It's enough to put you away for several years and ruin you publicly. My voice was soft, but every word cut. He completely unraveled and lunged toward me. I stepped back and raised the phone. It's already backed up. Touch me again and I call the police. The evidence goes straight to the station, your company, and every media outlet. Chin-Hao stood there, hollow, like the bones had been pulled from his body. For the first time, he looked at me not as a wife, but as a stranger, even with fear. I walked past him and went to the bathroom to wash myself. When the door closed, I knew the balance of power had flipped. I was no longer the victim waiting for his verdict. I was the one holding evidence that could decide his fate. From now on, the game would be played by my rules. A month later, I found out I was pregnant. 2 clear lines on the test. I calculated the timing. It was the result of that night at the hotel, when Chin-Hao raped me. Ironic, wasn't it? 2 years of wanting nothing. And then, at the most unbearable moment, in the most unbearable way, it arrived. I sat with the test for a long time. Then, calmly, I threw it into the trash. Chin-Hao had been living like a terrified dog lately, afraid I'd expose him, unwilling to give up his interests, dragging out the divorce. He sent his parents as mediators, switching between threats and soft pleas. That day, I took the initiative and asked him to meet at home. He arrived with a mix of hope and caution. I slid a hospital pregnancy report across the table. He picked it up. His eyes went wide, then exploded with joy. Pregnant? Xiao, you're pregnant. I'm going to be a father. He rushed toward me, but I stepped aside. We have a child. This is destiny. We can't get divorced. For the child, we must have a complete family. He was incoherent with excitement, glowing as if he'd grabbed hold of a lifeline. He launched into fantasies, a bigger house, the best baby products, coming home on time, becoming a good father and husband. His acting skills were back, this time with fatherhood added to the script. I watched him perform, my mind barren and calm. When he finally slowed down, I said, "I'll terminate the pregnancy." His smile froze, then twisted into shock and rage. "What did you say? You wouldn't dare. That's my child, my body, my choice." I stood up. "Chin-Hao, you know exactly how this child came into existence. I won't let a rapist's child bind my life, nor let it become another tool your family uses to control me. The child is innocent. The most innocent one here is me." I looked at him steadily. "Stop acting. You don't want to lose control. You don't want to pay the price of divorce. To you, this child is leverage, not a life." He had nothing left to say. His face turned a hard, ashen gray. The next day, I went to the hospital alone. Registration, exams, signatures. The nurse asked, "Where's your family?" "I don't have any," I said. I lay on the operating table as the cold instruments entered my body. It hurt a little, but nowhere near as much as the pain my heart had already gone numb to. I stared at the pale ceiling and felt, very clearly, something being completely severed. Psychologically, I no longer felt even the slightest attachment to this man, or to this marriage. The procedure ended quickly. I picked up the antibiotics and walked out of the hospital. The sunlight was blinding. I squinted. I didn't cry. When I got home, Chin-Hao wasn't there. I kept packing, boxing up my belongings one by one. The child didn't become a bond to save anything. Instead, it became the final, and most painful, dose of clarity that cut my past cleanly away. Halfway through packing, the doorbell rang. It was my mother. She came in with a grim face. The first thing she said was, "I heard from Chin-Hao's mother, you were pregnant?" The news traveled fast. "Yes," I said, folding clothes. "That's great." Relief spread across her face. "Now he definitely won't divorce you. You have to seize this chance. Give birth to a son and your position will be secure." My hands paused. She continued, talking to herself. "Oh, and your brother's getting married next month. The bride price is still short by 200,000. The girl's family is pushing. You're pregnant now. Chin-Hao must be thrilled. Ask him. He won't dare refuse. Consider it a wedding gift for your brother. Helping your family." I turned to look at her. On her face, There was only urgency for money, not a trace of concern for my situation, or for the surgery I had just gone through. "I don't have money, and I won't ask for any," I said. Her smile vanished. "What did you say, Su Xiaoyu? Have you grown wings? Your brother's wedding is a major event. You're the older sister, what's wrong with helping out? If you hadn't married well, how would this family benefit from you?" "Married well?" I laughed, a laugh that made her uneasy. "Mom, my husband cheated on me, publicly. He raped me. I just terminated a pregnancy that was never wanted. You think that counts as marrying well?" She froze, but quickly, she frowned, her tone turning even sharper. "You had an abortion? How could you be so careless? Now that the baby's gone, how are you supposed to control the Chen family? You're really, completely useless. What a waste of all these years." What she cared about, still, was only my use value. My heart felt like frozen stone, incapable of rippling again. "There's no money, and there won't be any in the future. Just pretend you never had a daughter like me," she exploded, pointing at my face. "Ungrateful wretch. I raised you for nothing. This is how you repay your family? You couldn't keep a man without a child, and now you can't even get money out of him. What value do you have left? No wonder you got dumped." She grabbed a glass from the table and smashed it on the floor. "Fine. You're ruthless. Don't ever come back. We'll pretend we never had you. I want to see how you survive after divorce with no family backing." She stormed out, slamming the door. The sound echoed through the empty apartment. I looked at the shattered glass, walked over, and carefully swept it up. Then I went back to packing. Faster, more decisive. The last thread of blood-bound coercion had been cut by my own hand. Good. From now on, I truly had only myself, and I only needed to be responsible for myself. 3 days later, everything was ready. I booked a flight to a coastal city more than 1,000 kilometers away. No acquaintances. Warm climate. I scanned the signed page of the divorce agreement and sent it to Chen Hao and his lawyer with a note: "Sign it as soon as possible. Otherwise, the evidence package will appear where it's meant to appear, on schedule." The package contained audio recordings, videos, hotel records, spending logs, detailed and airtight. Then I removed my SIM card, snapped it in half, and flushed it down the toilet. I factory reset my old phone and left it on the table, dragging 2 suitcases and carrying a backpack. I left the home I'd lived in for years at dawn, alone. I didn't look back. At 10 a.m., the plane broke through the clouds. I watched the city shrink beneath me, my mind blank and calm. I disappeared. As expected, Chen Hao lost his mind. He signed the divorce papers but demanded to meet to discuss details. When he realized he couldn't reach me, he began searching frantically. He tried to find me through my mother, who, of course, didn't know, waited outside friends' homes I might go to, even reported me missing to the police. Once they learned it was a domestic dispute and that I had full agency, no case was filed. He used his connections to trace my travel records, but I'd bought the ticket using an alternate ID I'd obtained years earlier. He found nothing. Like a headless fly, he spiraled online, posting breakdowns on social media, messaging anyone who might know me, his words swinging from begging to threats. The crazier he became, the calmer I felt. After settling in the small city, I rented a quiet 1-bedroom apartment. The first thing I did was contact a senior female attorney who specialized in divorce cases, someone I'd already screened online. We communicated via encrypted email. I sent her backups of all my evidence in batches and began organizing post-marriage asset records. Most of it was under Chen Hao's name, but the marital portion belonged to me, and I intended to take it back. Based on my evidence and situation, she began drafting the formal complaint and property preservation application. I stopped paying attention to any news about Chen Hao. I didn't read his frantic messages or respond to anything that could expose my location. Every day, I woke early, went for walks, ate simple breakfasts, resumed long-neglected finance courses, and checked in with my lawyer. My emotions gradually shifted from tension to steady calm. I wasn't running. I was executing a methodical strategic retreat, conserving strength, waiting for the moment, preparing to close the net. The battlefield would soon move to the place he feared most, the courtroom. 2 months later, 3 days after my lawyer formally filed the lawsuit and applied for asset preservation, someone knocked violently on the door of my apartment. Through the peephole, I saw Chen Hao. He had lost a frightening amount of weight. His eyes were sunken, hair greasy, expensive suit wrinkled like a fallen vagrant. Only the familiar obsession and madness in his eyes remained. I opened the door, but left the security chain on. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up, then filled with anger and grievance. Su Xiaoyu, so you hid here. Do you know how long I've been looking for you? You're cruel. I said nothing. I looked at him coldly. He tried to steady his breathing. His voice softened, edged with pleading. Xiaoyu, can we stop this? I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. Look, I signed the divorce agreement, but I revised the property split. I'll give you half. No, 60%. Just withdraw the lawsuit and cancel the asset freeze. Let's end this peacefully. Okay? Sure enough, he was holding a new agreement in his hand. The court has accepted the case. Everything will proceed according to the law, I said evenly, without any fluctuation in my voice. He panicked, lowering his voice, laced with threats. Su Xiaoyu, don't push me. If you push me too far, I can do anything. You're just a woman, all alone here, no family, no support, Chenhao. I interrupted, pulling a folder from behind the door and holding it up for him to see through the crack. He squinted. The cover page displayed a draft criminal private complaint accusing him of rape. Behind it was a list of evidence, printed screenshots, and in the last few pages, the contact information of several major media outlets and top social media influencers, along with a fully drafted exposé email. His face went pale. His fingers began to tremble. If you dare harass me, or do anything extreme. I flipped through the pages deliberately, showing him each one. This complaint goes straight to the court. That email will be sent to every media outlet and online platform. Imagine how your company, your investors, and all those friends will see you, rapist, scumbag. How much of your career will survive? The power dynamic flipped completely. He was no longer the high and mighty man controlling everything. He was just a trembling failure, trapped by my hands on the very part of his life that mattered most. Cold sweat beaded on his forehead. His legs wobbled. He almost collapsed to his knees. No. Xiaoyu, please. I beg you. I'll sign. I'll do whatever your lawyer asks. I'll agree to anything. Please don't destroy me. For the first time, he showed me complete, abject surrender. Get out, I said. He stumbled backward, saying nothing more, slinking off down the stairs. The next day, my lawyer notified me that Chenhao had signed all agreements, agreeing to an almost equal division of property. Premarital property remained separate. Marital property split 45% to me, accounting for assets that had increased due to his personal effort. He also promised not to harass me in any form. I signed my name, officially free. Not the end, but the beginning of my new life. Shortly after the divorce was finalized, the real show began. Chenhao, desperate to save his company's reputation and fill the financial gap from the property split, started a frantic scramble for money and blame. His first target was Lillian, claiming unjust enrichment. He filed a lawsuit demanding Lillian return all luxury items he had bought during their affair, along with rent and large transfers, totaling over 2 million yuan. Lillian was stunned. She had been dreaming of life as Mrs. Chen, unaware that a court summons awaited her. Of course, she refused. She posted on social media, crying about being deceived and exploited. Chenhao was ready. He hired online trolls to dig up all of Lillian's previous posts flaunting luxury goods, transfers, and displays of affection, paired with chat logs proving her complicity. They compiled it into a full gold-digging mistress dossier and spread it across the internet. Public opinion flipped instantly. Lillian went from victim to universally condemned vain mistress. Her employer fired her, citing reputational damage to the company. Her family and friends were exposed and harassed online. Cornered, Lillian fought back. She gave tabloid interviews alleging Chenhao's bribery, tax evasion, and messy private life, providing blurry evidence. Both sides tore into each other, ugly and relentless. Chenhao's company stock took a hit. Tax authorities and regulators intervened. Lillian, accused of extortion and breaching trade secrets, was countersued. Evidence was clear, and she ended up in jail. A single affair, two lovers devouring each other to mutual destruction. I sat on the balcony of my small city apartment, scrolling through the news. My heart was calm. Lillian thought she had one. In truth, she had only been a tool in Chinhao's desires and calculations, once used, discarded, milked of all value. Was watching two villains tear each other apart satisfying? I felt only pity and a small sense of relief for myself. Relief that I had extracted myself in time, never becoming one of them. Chinhao and Lillian's mutual destruction lit the fuse for what came next. Tax investigations confirmed years of evasion, leading to massive fines and back payments that nearly drained company cash flow. Bribery accusations, though not resulting in convictions, still caused severe reputational damage. Partners withdrew investments. Key clients canceled contracts. Stock prices plummeted. Banks tightened lending. Suppliers demanded payments. Within 6 months, his carefully built company filed for bankruptcy. The young talent, model husband image collapsed completely. Social media mocked him relentlessly. Former close friends avoided him. Even his parents, humiliated, temporarily returned to their hometown. Divided property had to be sold quickly at low prices to cover debts. Savings were nearly gone. Tabloid reporters caught him at roadside stalls, drinking, unshaven, staring blankly into space. Caption: former elite, now destitute. He tried contacting me via my lawyer, asking to meet, claiming regret and remorse. The lawyer asked for my decision. I simply replied, "It's none of my concern." Supposedly, he began suffering insomnia and depression, medicated to cope. He waited for me to appear, hoping I'd turn back, as if I were his last lifeline. Did he finally understand? Understand that I was not a replaceable, disposable accessory? Perhaps. But to me, his realization was worthless. He had lost career, wealth, reputation, and family. I had lost only one thing, a worthless man, and a fake marriage. Who won and who lost was obvious. The greatest victory wasn't how perfectly I had executed revenge. It was that, when he fell, I was standing in the sunlight, unscathed, striding forward. When the divorce ruling came into effect, there were still follow-up procedures requiring both parties to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I chose a weekday afternoon. Few people were there. Chinhao arrived first. His ill-fitting, old suit hung awkwardly on him, his expression anxious and expectant. Seeing me, his eyes lit up. Then he hurried over. I wore a simple shirt and jeans. No makeup, but looked healthy. I held a document folder. "Xiaoyu," his voice was hoarse. "How have you been?" "Fine." I walked past him straight into the Civil Affairs Hall. He followed, rambling, I know I have no right to say anything, but I really regret it. Every day, I've regretted it. If only time could go back. The clerk called our number. I walked forward and handed over the documents. The process was quick, just a few minutes, and the final stamp was made. Legally, we were completely severed. Stepping out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the sunlight was sharp. I put on my sunglasses. Chinhao rushed after me, blocking my path. "Xiaoyu, can we still be friends? Or at least give me a chance to make it up to you?" His eyes glistened with tears, though I couldn't tell how much was real. My phone rang. It was a new friend I'd met in this small town. A cheerful girl who ran a coffee shop, inviting me to try a hidden gem for dinner tonight. I smiled into the phone. "Sure, let's celebrate a little. I'll treat." I hung up and looked at Chinhao. He was still waiting for my answer. "Chinhao," I said, removing my sunglasses, looking at him calmly. "There is no longer any connection between us. From now on, we don't need to see each other." I turned and walked toward the second-hand car I'd bought with my share of the divorce money. I opened the door, got in, and started the engine. In the rearview mirror, he still stood there. His figure slowly shrank in the sunlight until it became a blurry black dot, then disappeared entirely. I didn't feel any attachment. I didn't look back. The sunlight streamed through the window, warm on my skin. I knew then, the greatest victory wasn't how much he suffered or regretted it. It was that whether he suffered or regretted it no longer affected me in the slightest. I had won. I had regained full control over my own life. After settling in the small town, I didn't rush into a new romance. I organized my professional certificates and resume. Though a few years had been idle, my foundation was still there. I enrolled in an online financial analysis course, revisiting models and data I'd neglected. I also began submitting short finance analysis pieces. At first, nothing. Slowly, responses came, and payment grew from hundreds to thousands of yuan per article. 6 months later, a local boutique investment firm noticed my work and offered me a position as a junior analyst. The pay wasn't high, but it was enough to live on. In a field I knew well, I took it, starting from the basics. I rebuilt my skills bit by bit. The colleagues were young and simple. No one knew my past. I was no longer anyone's wife, I was simply Su Xiaoyu, a new analyst. Ambitious but grounded. Work was fulfilling. I enjoyed exchanging intellect and effort for tangible results, far more satisfying than waiting for someone else to grant me a sense of security. With my savings and some article earnings, I dabbled in small investments with guidance from senior colleagues. Luck was on my side, and I earned modest returns. I moved to a more comfortable apartment, closer to the office, decorated to my taste, with a few potted plants. Weekends were spent hiking with friends from the cafe, visiting the sea, exploring hidden restaurants. I joined book clubs and industry salons, meeting new people and hearing new stories. Occasionally, someone showed romantic interest. I didn't rush. I learned to set clear boundaries, enjoy solitude, and carefully evaluate potential relationships. My emotional stability grew. I no longer let the outside world dictate my feelings. I no longer sought validation from anyone. Looking in the mirror, my eyes were clear and resolute, my skin glowing, a reflection of inner peace and a healthy life. I didn't become a powerful woman or pull off a dramatic comeback. I simply reclaimed the capable self that had been buried under marriage and allowed her to grow again at her own comfortable pace. No new man, no dependence, just my own hands and mind keeping me steady on solid ground. That feeling was more satisfying and secure than any relationship that revolved around someone else. This was true rebirth, returning to the center of my own world. One evening a year later, I sat on my balcony, watching the sun dip over the ocean. My phone buzzed with a local news update about Chen Hao. He had attempted to start a new venture, failed, accrued debt, and now seemed to be doing odd jobs. His photo showed him haggard, flustered. Comments were few, mostly sympathetic or resigned. I swiped away calmly, like dismissing an irrelevant ad. A friend messaged about discovering a great hidden restaurant, asking if I was free tomorrow. I smiled and replied, yes. I put down my phone. The evening breeze was gentle. Looking back at that marriage, the betrayal, humiliation, manipulation, and control, the images were still vivid, but they no longer stirred me. I understood clearly, none of it happened because I lacked value, charm, or the ability to bear children. It happened because I met a selfish, greedy, manipulative man and a circle of equally self-centered, indifferent family. At that time, I wasn't strong or aware enough to prevent them from hurting me, but it was okay. I had come out, not by forgiving them, I never would, but by thoroughly purging them. I deleted the toxic marriage from my life. I pushed my parasitic family to a safe distance. I left the weak, dependent, love-hungry old me behind. Now, I had a career, friends, hobbies, the ability to support myself comfortably, stable emotions, and clear boundaries. I no longer needed to prove my worth to anyone, no longer needed to atone for anyone's mistakes, no longer needed to compromise for unreasonable demands. The world opened for me, not because the world had changed, but because I had the power to choose, and the courage to refuse. The sunset turned the sea golden, sparkling with hope. I took a deep breath of the salty air and turned back inside. Tomorrow held work, outings, and countless new experiences that belonged solely to me. That marriage, those people, had become distant background noise. And my life? I was the only protagonist. I wrote my own script, and the story was heading toward light. This was my ultimate revenge, not to make him suffer, but to make myself happy, not to win something back, but to achieve total freedom.